Be awesome if you could boost your credit score 100 points in a month and not pay anybody a penny to do it. Do it yourself, easy, quick. You can. You just have to listen to these 3 tips and follow them closely and avoid these 3 myths that you probably were told by your parents growing up. So today, top 3 tips for credit score boosting and top 3 myths to avoid. Let's start right off with myth number 1. I'm sure everybody's been told this: don't get a credit card, right? No credit cards. You should never get a credit card. They're the worst thing you could possibly do. They're going to screw up your credit. You're going to end up owing a ton of money. It's going to go to collection. People are going to hound you and call you all day. Well, maybe, but we're not going to quite do that method. We are going to talk about pro tip 1. This is one of the most important ones. If you do not do this or have a credit card per se, you will not be able to get over a 100-point boost in a month. So let's talk about the credit cards. You need to have at least one credit card. Think of it this way. Right now, if you don't have a credit card, you're basically taking a test to get into college or your SATs, ACTs, and you're just skipping a section. Let's just say you're doing English, you're doing science, you're like, I'm going to skip the math section and I'm just going to wing it and see if I can get in. Unfortunately, it's one of the most important parts of the test. It's the ability to test to see whether you can handle the responsibility of having a credit card and not max it out, not screw it up. Basically, can you have a credit card and make sure that you're able to stay on top of it? Now, let's say you've already messed things up or you don't have any credit. Well, you can't just go anywhere and get a credit card. Okay, I get that. Most of my clients, friends, family, everybody, including myself, had to get a secured credit card. What a secured credit card is basically when you put a deposit down on a card. Like, let's say you were getting an apartment, right? You want to move into an apartment, they want to have a rental deposit. And if you move out, you get the deposit back. Same thing with a credit card. You put a deposit down, they give you the card, it helps cover for the credit. If you screw it up, they're going to keep your deposit. If you don't screw it up and you cancel the credit card or do really well, they'll return that deposit down the road. Now, I should be plain and simple, that deposit goes to the bank to hold for your credit card. It is not money to be used on the credit card. It does not cover anything you spend on the credit card. It is simply a security deposit. I've had several clients send $300 in for a $300 credit card, charge up the credit card to $300 and think that the deposit was going to pay it, and wonder why their credit got destroyed by not making any payments. So don't do that. All right, you are going to have to make payments. You're going to have to keep that credit card in good standing. So get the credit card. If you, for some reason, can't get the credit card, I think one of the only things that has kind of gotten in the way of some of my clients is their name and socials haven't all matched up perfectly, so they've had to get a cosigner, basically, or they've asked a friend to add them as a co-card holder or a authorized user, basically, as it's called. So have your friend, mom, dad, and uncle add you as an authorized user to their card, and that'll give you as much as a 141-point boost in as little as a month. Let's talk about myth 2. Okay, so myth 2, this is a big one. You do not need to pay your credit cards off every month. That is a fallacy. That does not boost your credit score. Whatever you pay on your credit cards is not even noticed by the credit card companies as far as they go to reporting to the credit bureau. They only report your bill. So let me explain. Let's say you got a credit card. Say you got the first credit tip, pro tip, and you got a secured credit card. And you went and charged $250 in groceries. Well, the bill comes in, it says $250 is owed. They'll say you can make a minimum payment of $25. Well, paying $250 is not going to boost your credit or help your credit at all. Neither is paying $25, and let me tell you why. The balance that is reported is how they calculate your credit. So if you're maxed out, your credit score is going to dump. If you pay off all your bills and you have a zero bill, guess what? they don't do zero math very well. So if they can't calculate your spending and you're not spending on it, you're actually not helping your credit. You're not proving you're good with credit. You're not proving you know how to handle credit. So unfortunately, a zero balance works the same as a high or bad balance. It could drop your credit score due to lack of activity, and it could not help your credit score, even though you may pay your payments on time. You may pay it off every month, but it just isn't going to help. Now let's talk about pro tip number 2, how to boost it. Yes, you're going to charge your credit card, but barely. I mean, very minimally, like not even 10 bucks a month. Your goal is to charge at least $1 and no more than say $9 or maybe $9.50, but try to keep it under 10 each month. I don't care if you buy a candy bar each month. I don't care if you buy sodas. Doesn't matter. The best and biggest credit score boost you could possibly get is having a balance of $10 or less. Even better than keeping it 10% or 25% or 35% of your limit. It's the $10 rule. Don't forget it. So the best way to do it, I think, is find a bill that you pay each month, maybe your Netflix or some other small, meaningless little bill that's a couple bucks a month. Auto pay that with your credit card, and then have your bank auto pay that credit card every month. All you want to do is keep an eye on it, make sure that no weird charges happen, of course. And then once a year, you'll probably get an annual fee charge somewhere between $25 and $40, depending on what credit card you got. And you want to make sure that you pay that immediately after it's being charged. I mean, even before you get the bill. So if you notice a charge on there for like 40 bucks, go pay like $31 on it immediately. So when the bill comes in, it shows $9 and your boost comes in. Now, obviously, if you got a credit card bill and it says $9, your minimum payment's going to be $9. So you're going to pay $9. But you're going to charge it up again, so the next month's bill is going to show a balance. Because remember, no one's going to see the zero balance if you charge it before the next bill cycle. Very important. Very important. Keep that balance between $1 and $10 at all times. So once you pay it off, go charge it again. Again, the auto pay method will be your best method. Let's talk about myth number 3. Has anyone ever told you that the reason you're not getting approved for something is because you have too many collections, too many bad debts, paid too many things late, you owe too much? So you're like, you know what? I'm going to save up. I'm going to get my tax refund, or I'm going to work my butt off, and I'm going to pay everything off. I'm going to basically bomb all my debt. I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to like spend the next 6 months just paying everything off, make payment arrangements, do whatever it takes, settle on everything, get it paid down, be good to go. Wrong. Unfortunately, it could be a huge mistake. Paying stuff off is going to update the dates of activity. And that's how your credit's based, is the most recent activity of negative debt. So many times, not always, but many times when you pay off old negative debt, they'll update the date of activity. They'll really update it if you make payment arrangements. So in fact, every month you could be screwing up your credit by updating the dates. So what are you supposed to do? Well, let's talk about pro tip number 3. Basically, here's the trick. Any collections or bad debts you have, you want to look at them first. Analyze your credit report. Figure out what's the most recent one to report, and then you're going to call them up. You're going to say, hey, I know I have a debt here. I'm willing to pay at least a partial amount on this, but I need a favor. I need you to delete or remove it from my credit. Half of them will say, no, they don't do that. They can't do that, whatever. If I were you, I'd talk to a supervisor. I would even call back. I call multiple times. Most of the time, if you try hard enough, if you pay the full balance, they'll agree to delete or remove it. Now, make sure you get it in writing first. The writing won't help you a lot, but at least you'll know that they said that they were going to delete or remove it. I've had a lot of clients say that they got it deleted or removed, and then later on the collection company said they never said that. I'm not sure if it was the collection company lying or the client misunderstanding. A lot of times I think the clients think that when I say delete or remove, paid in full and in good standing are the same thing, and they are not. You're not looking for a zero balance here. You're not looking for a paid in full. You're not looking for you're good on all your debts. You're looking for deleted or removed from your credit bureau permanently. Now, let me explain why this might help you. Think about this. If you got into a car accident, it's going to usually report to your insurance. And then it'll get fixed. But unfortunately, your insurance could go up because you've reported that accident. And even if you wanted to switch to another insurance company, it's on your permanent record and you'll never be able to get rid of that unless you got into an accident and you didn't tell insurance and you just got it fixed on your own dime. Then nobody knew about it. Well, this is essentially what you're doing on your collections. When you pay it off and ask for it to be deleted, it erases it from the memory books and it's like it never happened. So definitely work this out. This is your pro tip number 3 actually. So good luck with that. If you have questions or anything, let me know. In case you're wondering how to get a credit card or how to get a copy of your credit report, let me show you how to do that for free. So if you need to get a credit card, I've found that one of the best techniques is to go to a company's website like creditcards.com and basically search through all the secured credit cards, look for ones that definitely report to all the bureaus and maybe have a low deposit, and apply for as many as you'd like. You only need one, so I do maybe one at a time, but usually the first or second one will work for you. For some reason, Discover seems to be really difficult, so I maybe would avoid that one. But the rest seem to be pretty smooth. Most of them through Capital One. Sometimes you get turned down if you have a Capital One collection, so you might have to jump from one bank to another bank till you get approved. And it typically will take you a few weeks to get the credit card. Sometimes you can pay more to get it quicker, and it'll take usually a month after that before it reports the first bill. You do need to be careful though. Again, that annual fee is oftentimes charged on that first month. So if you're not careful, you'll have a balance over 10 and you won't get as big a boost as you can get. As soon as you get that credit card, try to call, pay it down to like $9 so that way the first bill comes in low. It makes it easier to work with. Now, as far as getting a copy of your credit report, you can do the pay method where you're going to go to Equifax.com, Experian.com, and TransUnion.com, and you can actually order one directly through them. It'll give you a credit score, although that credit score is not officially a mortgage credit score or FICO credit score for different things, because I'll go into that a little bit later about which credit card scores or credit scores matter. But at least it'll give you a copy of the report so you know what collections were when and maybe the order in which you need to fix them. Don't be surprised if some bureaus have some collections, others don't. Some will say different dates, so it's a little tricky. If you want to do the free credit report, you go to annualcreditreport.com and you can get each of these free. It's a little bit tricky and convoluted, but not the hardest thing to do. So I definitely would try that first, and if you can't do it, then go directly to the bureaus. So the weird thing about credit scores is that they're not the same. They're different from one company to another, from one bureau to another, from one lender to another. What you can see, what others can see, it's so convoluted, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to try to make a little sense of it right now. All right? Each credit bureau, and there's 3 of them, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, have their own, let's say, recipe. Basically their own calculation scenario for how they figure out your credit. And that recipe also could change depending on who's pulling it and for why. For example, if you're getting a car, it may judge certain debts with different scores than if you're getting a house or if you're getting a credit card. So many times people won't understand how they can buy a car today but not a house tomorrow, or vice versa. And they may not understand how Credit Karma, for example, comes up with a completely different score many of the times. Well, let's talk about Credit Karma in general, not specifically, but Credit Karma is like if somebody was trying to remake a recipe without knowing the recipe. Let's take a soda. Let's take Coke. Okay, Coca-Cola's been around for years, right? And it has its own patented special recipe. Well, there may be a convenience store like H-E-B, which is here in South Texas, and that you go to and you get H-E-B Cola. You know, it tastes a little bit like Coca-Cola, but not exactly the same recipe, and it's basically the same idea, a little cheaper, a little different. Well, that's like Credit Karma and like a lot of different credit scoring websites. They have their own little recipe. Sometimes it tastes spot on, sometimes it does not, depending on what it's trying to be, like a Dr. Pepper or not. But the basic idea is the same, is that it's trying to be right, and it's one score. So obviously it may not be tweaked right for houses or cars or credit cards, but it might hit on one of those scenarios, and it might only hit one bureau versus all three bureaus. But that's the basic understanding of credit scores. And that's why we're going to talk about boosting them. Now, when we boost them, it'll boost all scores. It just may not boost all of them the same and as much and at the same time frame. But at least this will help you boost all scores depending on whether you're looking to rent an apartment, buy a house, buy a car, get a credit card. Any of those things can and will work with having a higher credit score. So look forward to going over these 3 pro tips and myths. So let's move forward and check them out. So let's bring this all together. Pro tip 1, get a credit card. Pro tip 2, keep the balance low. Pro tip 3, go ahead and maybe pay off your debts, but definitely only do it if they'll agree to delete or remove them. If not, then you may need to do, some disputing, which is like credit repair, where you basically, those same credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian, or even the annualcreditreport.com will allow you to try to dispute false or misinformation so that you can try to get stuff removed. You can pay somebody to do that. Plenty of credit repair companies would love to get paid, hopefully a small monthly fee to take care of this for you. Do avoid paying large fees up front on credit repair. Oftentimes this is illegal and not legitimate. I've seen many times where they've sold you a credit card that'll show up on your credit. That doesn't work anymore. It used to work, but basically that puts a credit card on there, typically with a 0 balance, and has a history but no meaning. So just get your own credit card, do it yourself. Don't rely on anybody else. Again, avoid the 3 myths. These are popular myths, okay? Have a credit card, you need one. They suck, but you need to prove you can take advantage of one and control one. Don't pay off all your debts to 0, okay? You need some debts with a balance. Don't charge them up and pay them off each month. And don't obliterate all your bad credit. If you just want to fix stuff of the past, it's nice. And if you don't mind your credit score dropping for a while and you want it done, great. And I'm not saying that some local credit unions or banks won't require or at least prefer you have no collections. But they approve you on your score first, then you can take care of the collections, and then you can still get that car or that house. So get the score in line first, then you can take care of the debts if it really is that important to you. Try not to do the payment arrangements, and definitely try not to settle on the accounts, because that makes it even more difficult to get deleted later and almost never gets a 0 balance, which can sometimes be better than having a balance. Anyway, so hope you enjoyed that. I hope you stay true to those pro tips and tricks and avoid those myths. I'm Dante Miller. Please click the like button if you like my content. Please subscribe. I love to keep you in the loop on all the tips and tricks and trades of the business. Thanks.